You got the degree, then the job, then the promotion, then the relationship, then the house, then the achievements you worked for, the milestones you chased, and somewhere along the way you realized, this isn't it. Not that it's bad, it's just not what you thought it would be. The finish line keeps moving. The hunger doesn't stop. The restlessness remains. You accomplished everything you were supposed to want, and you're still not free. The ancient Indian sages had a name for this: Samsara, the cycle, the wheel, birth, death, desire, suffering, rebirth, round and round and round. And they had a name for getting off the wheel: moksha. Moksha, the freedom you didn't know you were seeking. Liberation, enlightenment, and what actually happens when you let go. Moksha, derived from the Sanskrit word mak, which means to free. Liberation, release, freedom, emancipation. In its soteriological and eschatological senses, it refers to freedom from samsara, the cycle of death and rebirth. In its epistemological and psychological senses, moksha is freedom from ignorance, self-realization, self-actualization, and self-knowledge. Let me break that down. On one level, moksha is about escaping reincarnation, about getting off the wheel of birth and death permanently. That's the traditional religious interpretation. But on a deeper level, the one that actually matters for your life right now, moksha is about freedom from identification with the cycle, freedom from being enslaved by desire, freedom from being controlled by fear, freedom from mistaking the temporary for the eternal. In Hindu traditions, moksha is a central concept and the utmost aim of human life. Not pleasure, not wealth, not even virtue. Freedom. The ancient Vedic tradition describes 4 goals of human life: the Purusharthas, Dharma, righteousness, duty, living in alignment; Artha, wealth, prosperity, material security; Kama, pleasure, love, desire, sensual fulfillment; Moksha, liberation, freedom, enlightenment. Notice the order. You pursue virtue. You build security. You experience pleasure. And then you ask, is there something beyond all this? That question? That's the beginning of the path to moksha. But here's what's wild. Moksha isn't about achieving something new. It's about realizing what's always been true. The Upanishads teach that the true self, Atman, can be released from suffering when it realizes its intrinsic oneness with Brahman. You're not becoming free. You're recognizing that you were never actually bound. The bondage was an illusion. The cage was imaginary. The wheel was a dream. And waking up from that dream, that's moksha. So what are we actually bound by? What's the cage? Ignorance. But not ignorance in the sense of you're stupid. Ignorance in the sense of not knowing who you actually are. You think your job title, your bank balance, your relationship status, your body, your achievements, your failures, your opinions, your story. And you spend your entire life trying to protect, improve, and validate this constructed identity. The ego must be perfect. The career must progress. The body must stay young. The reputation must be protected. It's exhausting because you're trying to maintain something that was never real to begin with. Buddhism teaches this explicitly through the doctrine of anatta, no permanent self. There's no fixed, unchanging you to defend. There's just process, flow, temporary patterns of consciousness arising and passing. But we don't see that. We're under a spell. The spell has a name: avidya, ignorance. Specifically, the ignorance that makes you think you're separate from everything else. You believe, I am here. The world is out there. I'm separate, isolated, vulnerable, incomplete. And from that belief, everything else follows. From ignorance comes desire. I need that thing to complete me. From desire comes attachment. I must have it. I must keep it. From attachment comes fear. What if I lose it? From fear comes suffering. I'm never safe. I'm never enough. And the wheel spins, faster and faster. Birth, striving, aging, death, rebirth, striving again. About the middle of the first millennium BCE, new religious movements spreading along the Ganges River Valley in India promoted the view that human life is a state of bondage to a recurring process of rebirth, samsara. This realization that life as we know it is a trap sparked a spiritual revolution. Buddhism, Jainism, and eventually Hinduism all developed paths to moksha. Different paths, same destination: freedom. So how do you get free? Different traditions, different methods. But the goal? Always moksha. The Bhagavad Gita's 3 paths. The Bhagavad Gita presents diverse paths to liberation, such as karma yoga, selfless action, bhakti yoga, devotion, and jnana yoga, knowledge, catering to different dispositions of seekers. 1. Jnana yoga, the path of knowledge. This is the path of direct realization. Through study, meditation, and self-inquiry, you pierce the veil of ignorance. You ask, who am I? What is real? What am I not? And you keep asking until the false self dissolves and only the true self, Atman, remains. The Upanishads established moksha as the ultimate goal through the realization of the oneness of Atman, the individual self, and Brahman, the universal reality. You're not a separate wave. You're the entire ocean. That realization, that's jnana. That's moksha through knowledge. 2. Karma yoga, the path of selfless action. This is the path of action without attachment to results. You do your Dharma. You show up fully. You act with skill and care. But you don't hoard the results. You don't measure your worth by outcomes. You offer it all. The Bhagavad Gita says, you have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Work becomes worship. Service becomes liberation. Because when you stop needing life to validate you, you're already free. 3. Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion. This is the path of love and surrender. The Puranas advocate for bhakti, depicting the soul's eternal bliss in divine realms through devotion to deities like Vishnu and Shiva. You give yourself completely to the divine, not out of fear, out of love. You chant, you pray, you offer your heart. And in that total surrender, the ego dissolves, because there's no you left to protect. There's only love flowing through what used to be you. Devotional religions such as Vaishnavism present love and service to God as the one sure way to moksha. 3 paths, same mountain, same peak. The intellectual finds freedom through understanding. The active finds freedom through service. The devotional finds freedom through love. Pick your path, or walk all 3. But walk, because moksha isn't about believing the right thing. It's about direct experience. Now here's a question that blew my mind when I first encountered it. Do you have to die to be liberated? Most people think moksha is something that happens after death. You live a good life, accumulate good karma, and when you die, you finally escape the wheel. But some traditions say, no, you can be liberated right now, in this body, in this life. The Vedantic school of philosophy divides moksha into 2 stages: Jivanmukti, liberation in this life, and Mukti, liberation after death. Jivanmukti, liberation while alive. A person with a body will feel pride in wearing beautiful earrings. The bodiless one will not. This is the meaning of the liberated person being called bodiless in the Vedas. Therefore, even though the liberated one appears like a samsari or worldly person from the outside, he is not really a samsari. Think about that. Externally, nothing changes. You still have a body. You still eat, sleep, work, relate. But internally, completely different. Before moksha, you work because you need validation. You love because you need to be loved back. You act because you fear the consequences of not acting. After moksha, you work because work wants to happen through you. You love because love is your nature. You act because action arises, not because you are doing it. The Jivanmukta, the living liberated one, has seen through the illusion of the separate self. They know there's no individual me here. There's just consciousness, awareness, life happening. And from that knowing, they live with a lightness that doesn't make sense to people still trapped in the ego. They don't take things personally because there's no person to take it. They don't cling to outcomes because there's no one who needs to win. They don't fear death because they've already died to the false self. Sri Aurobindo describes moksha beautifully. The last bondage is the passion for liberation itself, which must be renounced before the soul can be perfectly free. And the last knowledge is the realization that there is none bound, none desirous of freedom, but the soul is forever and perfectly free. Even the desire for liberation has to go, because desiring moksha is still ego. Still, I want something. True freedom is recognizing You were never in prison. Okay, philosophy is beautiful. But what does this actually look like in your Tuesday afternoon? How does someone pursuing moksha show up differently? 1. Less grasping, more flowing. Before, I need this job/relationship/achievement to be okay. After, I'll show up fully and I'll release the outcome. The difference? You're not white-knuckling your way through life anymore. 2. Less identification, more witnessing. Before, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm anxious. After, anger is arising, sadness is present, anxiety is here. You stop being the emotion, you witness it, and that creates space. 3. Less defending, more accepting. Before, this shouldn't be happening. Why me? This is wrong. After, this is what's happening. Okay. Not passive, not resigned, just real. Resistance is suffering. Acceptance is peace. 4. Less seeking, more being. Before, when I achieve X, I'll be happy. After, happiness is what I am when I stop seeking. Moksha isn't at the end of some journey. It's available now, when you stop running. Here's what's paradoxical. Moksha is the ultimate goal, right? The highest aim of human life. But to reach it, you have to stop trying to reach it. You have to let go of the belief that you're incomplete, the belief that something's missing, the belief that you need to become someone else. And when you let go of all that, what's left? Just this: awareness, presence, being. The self you were searching for was here the whole time, watching, witnessing, unchanging. So here's where we land. Moksha isn't about escaping life. It's about seeing through the illusion that you were ever separate from life. It's not about becoming perfect. It's about recognizing the perfection of what already is. It's not about achieving enlightenment someday. It's about waking up to the enlightenment that's been here all along. You are not your job. You are not your body. You are not your thoughts. You are not your achievements or your failures. You are the awareness in which all of that arises. And that awareness, it was never born. It will never die. It's already free. The question isn't, how do I get free? The question is, who's asking? Because if you look closely, if you really look at the one who's seeking liberation, you'll find no one there, just consciousness, looking at itself. And in that moment of seeing, moksha, not as an achievement, not as a destination, but as what you've always been. Free, whole, complete. Welcome home. You never left. Moksha isn't just a concept to understand. It's a reality to experience. You're already free. You just forgot. Time to remember. If this resonated, let me know in the comments. What would change in your life if you truly believed you were already free? Let's explore this together. Consider subscribing if you want more deep dives into ancient wisdom that actually transforms how you live. Until next time.